everyone, Matt Morris. Today we're going to talk about the 2 important cultures to build on your team if you're in network marketing, direct selling, that will make you a lot of money. I just did a webinar with my team in Africa, and I talked about this, and so since I was fresh on my mind, I thought I would share this with you guys. So as you hop on, let me know where you're tuning in from. Give me your city, your country. If you're watching me live, drop me a live in the comments. If you're watching me on the replay, drop me a replay in the comments. And thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the loves. I see a cry there. Someone's sad already. We're just getting going. So listen, if you do share this, let me know in the comments that you shared it, and I'll try and give you a shout out here as I'm doing the webinar. I see we got Estonia and Norway and Ohio in the house. We got the Bahamas, Sweden, Montgomery, Alabama, rock and roll. So listen, one of the things that I love more than anything else is a team that's amazingly coachable. You see, if there were a reason why I made it as an entrepreneur, it's because I finally became coachable. For a long time, I was not coachable. I wanted to do it my own way. I thought, man, it's way more logical to do things this way. I need to do things this way, whatever. When I finally found a mentor that told me how to do things, I finally submitted. I said, you know what, he's got the results that I want. I'm gonna do what he's done. And you know, over the years, I've been able to figure things out. I went through 5 years of struggle, banging my head against a wall, wondering what's wrong with me, seeing people pass me up, filled with self-doubt. I mean, it was not the funnest experience, but thank goodness I was pig-headed enough to just keep going until I figured it out. And over the last, 18, almost 20 years now, have been full-time in the direct selling profession, have been able to build organizations that have grown to over 1 million customers, lots and lots and lots of 6 to 7 figure earners. In fact, over $50 million earners on the team, thousands of people who have gotten to, what most would consider to be a full-time income. So have definitely figured it out over the years. And there's teams who explode with growth, and there's teams who do not explode with growth. And the teams that explode with growth, they do one thing very, very well, and it's they're very coachable. And the team that I just finished a webinar, amazingly coachable. And early on when this team got started, I told them the 2 things that I'm going to tell you guys. Maybe I'll throw in a third one because I mentioned that on the webinar as well. But there's really 3 things that I hammered home with them in the beginning and created huge growth on the team. Now, I was not there to support them very much. I mean, I'd fly out there 2 or 3 times a year in the beginning to kind of, build the leadership and stoke the fire and, pour gas on the blaze that was starting. But I had very little to do with their success. They were coachable, and they found ways to take my coaching and take it to levels that are beyond me. In fact, in so many cases, the student becomes the teacher. And so I am happy to admit, I will humbly accept the fact that I have become the student in many, many cases. Okay, I'm smart enough to realize I'm not smart enough to know everything, and I love seeing my students, so to speak, surpass me in their creativity as far as building teams and ramping things up and building leadership. But here's the cultures that I want to talk about. Number 1 is having a culture of fast duplication. The concept that I'm going to talk about is score in 24. What that means is when you have a new representative join your sales organization, you want to help them make a sale in their first 24 hours. Score in 24. Okay, and so what happens is, how do you get someone to score in 24? Well, number 1, it's got to be a priority for you, and it's got to be part of the culture of the team. And so this particular group, as an example, they have a Facebook group. Originally, it was my Facebook group, and very quickly they created their own, and they grew big. And here was what they talked about all the time. Now, in order to build a culture, you need to talk about the thing that you want as the culture. And there's a lot of different cultures that you could create. I mean, there's cultures where it's work hard, play hard, which typically means they play way harder, okay? They're going out, they're going to clubs, and they're traveling a lot, and they're playing really hard. That's a culture that you can build. Creates, a cohesiveness based on people being part of that community. Okay, you could build a culture of dressing really nice. You could have a culture of not dressing really nice. I mean, there's a lot of different cultures. Now, the cultures I'm going to talk about here are the cultures that will make you the most money. And so, number one, the score in 24. Why is that so important? Well, it's a law of physics. And the law of physics says that an object in motion tends to stay in what? Tends to stay in motion. An object at rest tends to stay at what? At rest. So do you want your new members that join your team, your new representatives, do you want them in action? You want them in motion? Or do you want them to stay stagnant? Well, if you don't make a priority of this score in 24, helping them go make a sale in their first 24 hours, then they're not likely to do that. They stay at rest. They're at rest, so they tend to stay at rest. Now, how do you get them to stay in motion? You get them in motion. It's our job as leaders to give assignments. The assignment that we want to give them is this score in 24. It's a great first goal because in a lot of network marketing companies, you go make a sale and you make some money. And so the person can say, I made money my first day, my first 24 hours, I made money. And so that builds belief in them. It builds belief in their team. It builds belief in the people that they're showing to become representatives on their team as well, because it's proof that it actually works. So that's something you got to be talking about. And there's a question that you should be asking people when they're new. And you want to memorize this, write it down, circle it, highlight it, underline it, ingrain it in your mind. And the question is, who do you know that we can go talk to right now? Who do you know that we can go talk to right now? Who do you know that we can go talk to right now? Okay, getting them into action quickly. Now, is everyone going to do it? Not at all. Never. You'll never have everyone do it, but you'll get some. See, I have people call me all the time and they're like, Matt, I can't get anyone to schedule a home meeting. I can't get anyone to schedule a coffee meeting. No one's duplicating. No one will do this score in 24 thing. And I ask them, well, how many people have you personally sponsored in the last month? And they say, well, I sponsored one last month. And I say, well, you're not doing what you're trying to preach. So you got to be taking action yourself. So realize not everyone is going to do it. There's going to be a lot of people who will never do it no matter what. And people come to me often. They say, well, I've sponsored a couple people and they're not, going out and they're not taking action quickly. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. And I say, well, are you asking them? Yes. Are you, giving them an assignment? Yes. And they're not taking action? Well, listen, you do what you can do. There's no way that you can force everyone to take action. But what happens is the ones that are willing to take action won't if you don't give the assignment. So you got to give the assignment, and you give the assignment every time. Okay. And that's what leads to duplication. It allows you to determine whether someone is going to build with you long-term or not. It allows you to determine if someone has the potential of being a leader because they actually take action because they are coachable. See, if someone is not coachable in the beginning, that's my first sign they're probably not the one that's going to go all the way. Now, who do I spend my time with? What I've realized is you work with the greedy, not the needy. You work with those who deserve it, not the ones who need it. So you got someone on your team, you got a handful of people on your team who are not doing anything, and they're drowning in life. They're drowning financially in life. They joined and they won't do shit. They won't do anything. And you're like, how do I make these people take action? I don't know how. I've been doing this 24 years. I don't know how. If you got someone who's like, how to get your entire team duplicating, if someone's got a training, they're trying to make money selling you that training, because there's nothing like that. I'm telling you, over 1 million customers all over the world, globally, it's never happened. Not everyone's going to take action. So you got to give the assignment. Okay. So that's it. Score in 24. You're going to say, who do you know that we can go talk to right now? You're going to say, hey, do you want to make a little money or a lot of money? And they say a lot of money. Say, great. What are you doing for lunch tomorrow? Nothing. Great. We're going to get your business started. We'll get you making money tomorrow. I want you to invite 4 people to lunch tomorrow. Okay. You're going to invite them to lunch. When they agree to come to lunch, you're going to tell them, hey, I got a project I'm working on. I've got a couple friends. Can't wait for you to meet them. I'll show up. I'll do the presentation for you. If you have 4 that show up, chances are we'll get 1 or 2 are going to buy our product and we'll help you make money tomorrow. So what did I just do? I gave them an assignment and I did something with them. Okay. If someone is long distance, your culture may be different. I don't know what company you're in. I don't know what organization you're in, but you may do a launch webinar. Okay, you got to give the assignment for them to do the launch webinar. Maybe it's an in-home presentation. Most of the big network marketing companies do in-home presentations. Okay, the ones that grow big anyway. And so you got to give them assignment in their first 2 to 5 days. You schedule that in-home presentation. Okay, so you got to give the assignment. What leaders do is we give assignments. If we don't give assignments, people don't take action. And so that's why they're doing that. Why am I doing this webinar right now? I'm giving you an assignment. I'm telling you that these are the things that you need to be doing, and this is the culture that you need to build within your team. So culture number 1, score in 24. Culture number 2 goes hand in hand, but it's personal production. Personal production until you're at the income level you want to retire at. That's when you get to stop personally producing. And the team that I just did the webinar for, what was amazing is seeing the leaders on that team every single month putting in 3, 4, 5, 6 personals every month. No surprise, the team grew to tens of thousands of people. Why? Why did that team grow to tens of thousands? Because the leaders were coachable and they decided they would just keep personally producing. Because what happens as soon as you stop personally producing, your team is watching you and they decide it must not be time. Because people learn by seeing, not by hearing. Seeing, not hearing. And so your team needs to see you putting people into the business personally. They need to see that. And when they see that, they have the belief that they can do it themselves. You may be the best motivational speaker in the world. You may be. But if you're not personally producing and you're talking about personally producing, your team is not going to have a lot of belief because they're not seeing it, they're only hearing it. Okay? That's where belief comes from, is seeing. What great leaders do is they show their team what the team should be doing. So you need to be putting a lot of personals in continually. Now, should you only be putting personals in? No, you need to be working with your people. It's why I did score in 24 first, because the goal is not to have, my goal anyway, is not to be the top sponsor in the company. The top sponsor in any network marketing company is never the top money earner. I used to own a network marketing company. We had 15 different people that had over 1,000 personals, and only one of them made big money. There was no duplication because they were throwing mud up against the wall and seeing what stuck. It was the people who enrolled 50 to 100 personals that ended up making the big money, 50 to 100, 150, 200, you know? But if you're doing 3, 4, 5, 6, that's manageable, because what happens is you typically get about 1 out of every 5 or so that's really serious, that's gonna get after it. You may have a little bit more that do a little, but typically it's around 1 out of 5 who are serious. Sometimes it's 1 out of 10. You never know exactly what the numbers are going to be, but if you're continually putting new groups in, it's creating a competitive environment. You sponsor a new group of people and they just saw that you're doing it, and so they start competing amongst themselves. Okay, so you want to be sponsoring groups at a time, and if you're continually putting people in, I mean, if you just put 1 a week as a full-time leader in network marketing, put in 1 a week. If you're really serious, put in 1 a week. If you're in aggressive build mode, it should be more than 1 a week, usually 2 or 3 a week, to really get things off the ground. So culture number 1 that's going to make you a lot of money, score in 24. Culture number 2 that's going to make you a lot of money is personal production. Create a culture of personal production. Culture number 3 that will make you a lot of money, it's promoting events. It's getting people to live events. Now, if you're in a company that doesn't have live events, find a damn live event and promote it. Okay, my company, we do so many live events and they're amazing. We don't promote any other event because we don't need to. We have big events every quarter. Now, if your company doesn't do events every quarter, you do 1 big one a year, you better be promoting that thing like crazy. Okay, build a culture. If you want to be a top earner in your company, here's the culture you want to create, is that your group has the highest percentage of people attending events compared to any other group. And you do that consistently, you're going to build a big business. Why? Because it requires a big decision. To build a network marketing organization to a high level is going to require a big decision. You got to have it right here and right here. And how do you get it right here and right here? It's at big events where you're seeing, maybe it's the company founders, maybe it's a lot of other people performing at a high level. And when you're seeing that, it allows you to perform at a high level. It gives you that belief. When you see other people who are like you succeeding and hitting rank and walking stage, it gives you belief. You see people dumber than you walking stage, it gives you belief. People way younger than you, way older than you walking stage, it gives you belief. People who come from very humble beginnings walking stage, it gives you belief. So here's what I learned 24 years ago is big decisions are made at big events. If I look at the leaders in my organization and I ask them, what was the one thing, what was the moment, if there was one moment that you decided you were going to go all the way, what was that moment? And it's usually at a live event. Almost always, 99% of the time, it was a live event that caused them to make that decision. They were sitting in this big environment with hundreds or thousands of people, and something happened in them that wouldn't have happened in them had they not gone to a big event. So you need to get good at promoting major events. Get good at promoting training events. You want to have a culture of going. Now, I'll tell you some guys I think are going to make a fortune. And it's some young guys on my team. They came from Mexico. They drove 20 some odd hours, 22 hours, I think it was, from Mexico to come to our event in the United States. And that kind of commitment, that kind of leadership, being willing to do whatever it takes to get to the event, to get the training, to get the belief, to get the vision, that's where fortunes are made in our profession. Okay, so those are the three cultures, my friends. If you hopped on late, go back and rewatch it. Number 1, score in 24. Number 2 is personal production. Number 3 is get really good at promoting events. Now, the last thing I'll say as we close this up, how do you build a culture? You talk about it a lot. See, when you talk about something a lot, people realize it's important. If you don't talk about something a lot, people don't think it's important. So if you're not talking about the next major event coming up, if you're not talking about it all the time, people don't think it's important. If you're not talking about score in 24, people don't think it's important. They think, well, I'll just do some training and, I'll get after this in a week or a month, then I'll start personally producing. So you got to talk about it. That's why you want to be talking about score in 24. Personal production, you need to be talking about it, because the misconception in network marketing is often that you enroll 5 people who enroll 5, who enroll 5, who enroll 5, and you're rich. It doesn't work. You enroll 10, who enroll 10, who enroll 10, who enroll 10, that never works. Okay, you got to go continually personally produce until you're at the income level you want to retire at. And chances are that's going to be a pretty high level, so you'll be personally producing for a while. Realize you're going to have to get good. Get good at something worth getting good at, and personal production is something amazingly worth getting good at. So listen, my friends, I appreciate you hopping in. If you want some advanced training, feel free to hop over to leadwithmatt.com. And if you feel like this can add some value to some others, feel free to share it. Let me know that you shared it in the comments. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let's go make life an adventure.